And what does the scripture say? It says that Nebuchadnezzar's face, I like the way it says in the New Revised Standard, it was distorted. In other words, he looked like he'd been sucking on lemons and smelling bad fish. He looked bad. He was angry. He was like, oh, you just lost. Like some of y'all look at me from Sunday to Sunday.
All right,
man. Brother was so mad. He said, look, turn that furnace up. Wait a minute. Back up. Everybody ain't got a furnace in their house. If you got a house, you got a furnace somewhere, right? Already hot, correct? If a flame is burning, it's hot enough to what? Burn you, correct? So imagine that you got a furnace, a big old furnace that can fit people in. It's already hot. And this man says, turn it up. You got to be one angry cat. He already said he's going to burn you. But he got so mad at these three. He said, turn it up. Then he got his strongest. He said, get the strongest I got and get them to throw them in. So we're talking about some grown men with the strength to throw a human being. Throw. Some people are strong enough to throw human beings. Do you understand what throw? Not throw. And not just that, but he said, don't strip, no, leave everything on. So there's what? Extra fuel for the fire. But look at what happens, and this is why I stopped here. Some of y'all missed the greatest miracle of this whole text. We've been reading this thing for years, and everybody always get to shouting about the fact that they're dancing all up in the furnace and everything. That's not the miracle. The miracle is before they start moving around. The miracle is they were put in, and the ones that put them in died. Can I preach this thing like I feel it? See, there's some things that will try to push you into circumstances. Life will push you into some tests. But you need to know today that when you got some conviction on your life and you serve God with no shame in your game, you can go into a thing that is meant to destroy you, but walk around in the thing as if it's your environment. I don't get fearful of what folk got to say. I don't get fearful of what folk do, because guess what? Throw me in if you feel like it, but you better watch out for the backtrack. I feel this thing. You get fireproof. I gotta get into the points. I'm about to jump on here. You get fireproof. 3 things I'll finish. And then I gotta take a nap and do something else this afternoon. Number 1, to get fireproof before the test. You gotta have worship that is generated by conviction. Yes. King, we don't care about your statue. None of your gods. None of that stuff. That ain't us. That's you. We don't worship you. Oh, this might set somebody free. This is the next thing I'm about to say. We work for you. Yes. Oh, we should go home on that one, some of y'all. I work for you, but I don't worship you. You can change our names, make us acceptable in front of other folk, but that ain't who This is James 4, verse 7. Submit yourself to the Lord. Then the next part, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Now, do you know what that means? The devil ain't running from you when you're not submitting yourself to the Lord anyhow. You can tell the difference between a test and your own mess. A test is when you have submitted yourself to God and you just are going through because you're one of His. But your mess is based upon your choices and your resistance to submitting to God. So if you don't get yourself under the will of God, I could care less about your tears and your crying about stuff. You got to examine yourself and ask yourself one question. Was I the cause of this? Some of the stuff people cry about has nothing to do with God. It got everything to do with who? You and me. If you're truly friendly and folk don't like you, then you just got a bunch of haters. But if you say you're friendly, but the record shows you're not, and you wonder why folk don't like you, it's because the Bible teaches us if you want to have friends, you must present yourself as being friendly. There is reasoning for some stuff. They could care less. They said our worship comes out of the conviction of the God that we serve. And who is He? He's Jehovah Jireh, my provider. He is everything to me. I worship, not shout, but I worship Him out of the conviction that He promised that no matter where I go and what I may face, He would never leave me nor forsake me. Did you hear what they said? Go ahead and throw us in. But we got a conviction that says the God we serve is able to deliver us. But even if He doesn't, there must be something to that too. Number two, the praise is generated by relationship. Now, they couldn't worship the statue. They ain't there. So think about what's going on. The people were told to worship when the music played. Music is the avenue that helps to bring up praise. My praise should be predicated upon my relationship to who I'm appraising. They said they couldn't do it because they knew who Nebuchadnezzar was and they knew what he was about. So if I can't worship you anyway because you're not my God, how can I praise you with your narcissistic attitude? All you did, Nebuchadnezzar, was take me from my family, bring me to Babylon, give me a new name, gave me a job, but you don't identify or acknowledge my uniqueness. So why should I praise you knowing you don't love me, but you want to use me? Can I ask a serious question just for thought? Why is it that the passion of our praise is reserved for people, things, ideas, or concepts that don't love us back? Why do we project this beautiful gift to concepts that would rather destroy you than help you, to people that could care less whether you succeed or fail. It's because we lack an understanding of who we are. If you know who you are, and you know who God is, and you know how you flow with Him, then you would see yourself a little differently and would not waste your breath on some of the things you give praise to. Can I go deeper? I've said it a million times. We invest in that which is important to us. That means there is a level of relationship that exists between us and whatever we invest in. So, church, if you really want to see things happen, you need to examine your relationship between you and God. Y'all got real quiet. Y'all were shouting earlier. Come on. If you want to know His promises, that means you need to study Him. You can't treat God like... I hear in some relationships that there are some in the relationship that look at their significant other and says, you ought to know what I'm thinking. You ought to know how I'm feeling. But can I tell you something? Nobody's going to know that unless they have studied you and or you have given insight into yourself. God has given us insight and He's waiting for us to study it so we can understand